Hi, this is Will Cheney, and for this week's Teacher Corner, I want to take a deep dive into options for locating Creative Commons images for student products. So this is going to overlap with our OER module from before, but more with a focus to how students can draw from OER resources in order to make their own projects more authentic and something that they can publish to a wider audience. So we've seen this push lately for students to be able to publish their work beyond the classroom, right? But then we end up with a sort of a conflict between the idea of fair use for education, which is really written to be limited to the classroom, and our current educational setting where so much is going online, right? Especially student products are being posted on learning management systems and things like that. And so, in order for our students to be able to publish to wider audiences, they need to have a good understanding of that digital citizenship that is part of sourcing their media. So, we're going to look for images licensed under Creative Commons. Similar to much of the OER we looked at, Creative Commons have these various licenses, and the most open ones allow us or students to use an image without having to cite the source and to modify that image and publish it however we want. So, a few great resources for that. Google Images, okay? We know our students are going to go right to Google Images off the bat, and that's okay. We'll just want to train them to use a little filter. So, my students are going to be working on a class project coming up to research a country, right? And they might want to include some images of the food of that country. So I'll be going over with them using the Creative Commons filter on Google. So I went to Tools, Usage Rights, and it's set this to Creative Commons. So now I've got images of Guatemalan tamales. You can see that the results are much more narrow now. I'm going to open this up, and it's coming from Wikimedia Commons. I can also take the extra step of double checking in Wikimedia Commons and see that this is free to share, to remix. It does come with an attribution condition, so I would include a little link or a little attribution to that file. Pixabay is another great resource. There are a lot of photos on here, but I think of it more as like a clip art source. So again, if I search tamale, I get some photos and also a lot of clip art type things like this. So that's a great source for clip art or little logos or icons that students want to include. And what's great about Pixabay is just about everything on here is free for commercial use, no attribution required. So I don't even have to put the Pixabay logo like I did on my slides earlier. I just did that as a little reference for us. And Microsoft Sway is an excellent tool all around. But one thing I particularly like about it with regard to images, and let me just sort of reset here. So if I search tamale, it's going to default to Creative Commons images. And so I don't have to take that extra step like I did previously. I can click on the image. I can double check here on the actual file. And this is a share alike. A little bit of the attribution condition is there. So I would offer a link to Wikitravel or anything like that, right? But I like that Sway defaults to Creative Commons. Next, or finally, Flickr. Flickr's really been expanding in the Creative Commons area. This is another case where you're going to have to add the filter. So I search tamale. I need to pick a license, which is Creative Commons. And again, in here, if I open these up, there's going to be some rights reserved. I went a little fast there. Down here, I can find the Creative Commons icons and click on those rights to see what they're expecting. For this image, I'm free to share it, but they would not like me to make any derivatives, to not change the material. So if I use this image, then my thing is not really OER any longer. It can't be published in the same way. So we'll go back and find another one that might be a little more compatible with our goal. and here, some rights reserved. Okay, we'll take a look. This one is an attribution license, but we can share, we can adapt, we can remix that and publish it widely. With any of these tools, I think the thing to root yourself in is that authenticity, right? And the reason why we're asking students to take these extra steps with their images. We want them to see that this is not just a digital citizenship requirement or an item on the rubric. It's going to allow them to publish their work more broadly and more authentically, which is something we all have as a common goal with our students, is to make our educational experiences more authentic beyond the classroom. So I hope you find those resources helpful. Down below there are some little more detailed instructions, some links, and GIFs for each of those sources. Thanks.